What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans happening this Saturday is starting to heat up after some controversial comments from Houston Texans defensive lineman Tim Settle Jr. He issued a stern warning to Patrick Mahomes prior to this weekend's matchup, stating Pat better make a good decision regarding his ankle injury and whether or not he can play.
This is the top team in the league right now by the NFL, but it's nothing. I definitely see this O-line. It definitely has its loopholes, and it definitely has its their struggles. But I feel like that we can take advantage of that. We got an elite D-line. I feel like Pat's a little banged up, so I don't know if he's gonna play or not. But I hope he's mobile enough because we coming in Arrowhead.
You guys plan to get after that?
Yeah, for sure. Pat better make a good decision. I ain't making no threats. I'm making promises.
I got you. You guys did such a great.
And of course, you heard Settle at the end say, I'm not making threats, I'm making promises. Not necessarily threatening to re-injure Patrick Mahomes or trying to state anything malicious. However, it is known among that locker room, it appears, that Patrick Mahomes will come into this game not 100%. And Tim Settle is making it clear that they are not going to treat him any differently and that they are going to come after him. He says they're coming at Arrowhead, and Patrick Mahomes better be ready. Of course, some people are going to take this as a threat from the Houston Texans that they plan on going after that ankle of Patrick Mahomes, but I don't really see it as that. I think that would be reading into it a little bit too much, but essentially Tim Settle is saying that, they're not letting up and that if Patrick Mahomes isn't mobile enough on that ankle, he's going to get hit. They're going to hit him. That is their goal. They're going to try to bring him to the ground. And you would be silly to think that their game plan wouldn't be to get a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes while he's already immobile as it is. But my concern, and for the Kansas City Chiefs after hearing this, is that maybe you should go ahead and keep Mahomes out of this one and maybe just put Carson Wentz in there so that the game plan maybe has to change a little bit for the Texans. Maybe you do a little bait and switch where it looks like Mahomes is going to play, and then you give them Carson Wentz instead so that they're not prepared for it, because we know that Patrick Mahomes was a full participant in practice yesterday, and it looks like he's on track to play. They said he's going to try to give it a go, but that doesn't mean he has to play. He could act like he's trending towards playing, and then you could put Carson Wentz in there, and I think that would actually give you an advantage that the Houston Texans wouldn't necessarily see coming. And you also just don't like hearing this after seeing the way that Patrick Mahomes got hit over and over and over again by the Cleveland Browns pass rush. The Texans pass rush is no slouch. You got Danielle Hunter out there for the Texans, Will Anderson, and then of course Tim Settle, who has created a lot of havoc for them this year. This is, once again, not a good matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. So do you want to risk putting Patrick Mahomes out there, who is an easy target right now, for those defensive linemen on the Texans? They're looking at this matchup and they are licking their chops, thinking that they're going to be all over a hobbled Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't even have a very good offensive line right now, and we don't even know who the Kansas City Chiefs left tackle is. DJ Humphries didn't practice yesterday. I don't know if we see him in this game. Joe Thuney held up fine at left tackle against the Cleveland Browns, but got a little bit worse as the game went on, and there was a lot of pressure on Mahomes in that game. He took a lot of bad hits. Now, part of that was because of Andy Reid's game planning and play calling, abandoning the run. He put Patrick Mahomes in danger, but this Texans defensive line, that defensive unit, they're looking at the film and saying Patrick Mahomes is an easy target right now. He's going to be on a bad ankle now, too, on top of the fact that his offensive line can't seem to block anybody. We're getting after him. And I'll clarify one more time. I'm not accusing the Houston Texans of going after Mahomes' injury or trying to re-injure his ankle, but that's just the risk that you take by putting Mahomes back out there. And the Texans are just trying to game plan around the fact that they know Patrick Mahomes is injured right now. The Kansas City Chiefs would do the same thing if C.J. Stroud had some sort of injury limiting his ability to move around in the pocket, then the Kansas City Chiefs would probably blitz a lot more and force CJ Stroud to be uncomfortable. All NFL teams do this, and that's just kind of how it goes. And there are dirty players in this league. I'm not accusing anyone on the Houston Texans in particular of being a dirty player, but there are dirty players in this league, and they do take notice of things like injuries and try to attack those weaknesses, just like a killer whale would do to a seal. So I was already on the side of playing Carson Wentz in this game over Patrick Mahomes, regardless of how Mahomes feels, because I just don't think you want to risk it because you need Patrick Mahomes for the playoff run. And also, I think Carson Wentz is a fully capable backup. I think you signed him for a reason. You put a premium on the backup quarterback position in the offseason for a reason. You trust Carson Wentz to hold it down for a few games. So go out there and let him do that. But after hearing this, I'm just even more nervous for Patrick Mahomes going out there on a bad ankle. And man, that offensive line, let's be honest, they're not playing well right now, and they can't seem to block anybody. And after this, you play again in a few days, facing off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have T.J. Watt. So man, I don't know. After hearing this, if I were Andy Reid, I would just hold Patrick Mahomes out, and that's going to be a tough call to make, especially because Mahomes is a competitor and he's going to want to go out there and play. We saw that mic'd up with Patrick Mahomes in the Jacksonville Jaguars playoff game a few years ago when Mahomes injured his ankle and Andy Reid forced him to go get an x-ray, in the locker room. And Mahomes did not want to do that. He was pissed off. He threw his coat on the ground. He said, "I'm not coming out of the game." Mahomes is going to put up a fight. He's going to want to play. But if you're Andy Reid, you have to make a decision that's best for the organization and for the team heading to the playoffs and say, "Pat, we're not playing you in this one. We don't feel comfortable. We need you. Get healthy. We trust Carson Wentz. We trust the guys that are out there." I think you can beat this Texans team with Carson Wentz. I really do. I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're that impressive. If the defense can hold it down, and they did show strides against the Cleveland Browns, I thought they played a lot better than they have recently. If you could get them to replicate that performance against the Houston Texans, I think you can win this game easily. And I also would just like to see what Carson Wentz has. I would like to see him get a little bit of game action, especially if you need him later on. You want him to get settled in there. You want him to get experience in a game with his teammates, with these weapons, so that if you need him again later on, he's going to know what to expect. But back to Patrick Mahomes, if the other team is saying you better make a good decision, I think I would have probably listened. And that's not to say that I'm scared of the Houston Texans, but I'm scared of what their defensive line could do to our offensive line. And I just think it would be best for the Kansas City Chiefs if they held Patrick Mahomes out of this one, because we don't need the Texans doing anything dirty or re-aggravating that ankle of Mahomes. I know that quote is just going to fire up Pat even more and make him want to go out there, but I think that's kind of what the Texans are trying to do here. They're trying to get into Mahomes' head and force him to make a bad decision for himself health-wise. So those are my thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes after hearing Tim Settle's comments, issuing a stern warning to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below what your thoughts are on Tim Settle's comments and whether or not you think Patrick Mahomes should play in this game. I'll be interested to hear from you guys, but that's all I got for this one. So with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. And as always, I'll see you in the next one, and go Chiefs.